death. I've had it up to here with the people who are telling us the news. Like for years it's been the same people. Peter Harvey. For years. When are they going to get rid of this guy?
Peter Harvey, National 9, here, proprietor of the 60 Minutes mailbag, and the only journalist in Australia with hair on his vocal cords. I can't help the way I talk, so I wish you wouldn't laugh at my affliction. When my balls dropped, they broke my foot.
As a child, did you have a lot of voices in your head?
I must have been like 6 or 7 years of age, and I found myself, for some reason, like all kids did voices at school, you know, but for some reason I had an ability to be more authentic. And so, you know, that was kind of first voice I ever did, you know. I hate them miserable Mises to pieces like. So it was kind of that, I suppose, the class clown mentality, you know. Everyone uses that excuse for comedy, but I was more like a class comedian though, because it was impressions of the class clown did, you know, stupid hoony things that I was always a bit smart to. No, I'm not going to do that.
What's the process that takes you through the beginning to finding that voice?
Sometimes I'm asked to do someone specifically that I've never thought of, like for a voiceover. If it's one that I like and the one that I choose, it'll be somebody like after a couple of years of watching, say, Eddie Murphy, you know, and suddenly I'll find that voice is just there in me, and then it's a matter of going and studying it, you know, and I'll watch one of his acting roles or whatever is most famous at the moment. And I think, you know, because of Donkey in Shrek, it's just a voice now, you know. And it's also, you've got to get into the technical side of it, which is the energy level they work at, the rapidness with which they speak. So a lot of it's almost doing what a speech therapist does and analysing, and so I do a lot of that with just audio machines and go over and over it and make sure the pitch is right. Then there's the accent, because especially with America where they come from different states. And then if you take a line that he's done, sometimes I'll write a routine based on a line and fracturing that line and coming up with a routine about it. But it was that line he did in the first Shrek movie where he said, "You know, I think a lot of you, Shrek. You're a mean green fat machine. Together we're going to scare the spit out of anybody that crosses us. Now we're going to have waffles." So little by little, I mean, and also some come quicker than others, you know. When I started doing clubs I was only like 21, I think, and I was doing all the RSL clubs, and I'd been working the clubs for about 6 years, and sort of felt I'd like to try slightly, the word then was this new wave, you know, of comedy. And thinking that a lot of the clubs he did, they were very, you know, the Blue Rinse set, and that you might fall into certain bad comedy habits just by, you know, being overly polite and not trying the other style of comedy and all this. But really, up until those days, I was doing, you know, John Wayne was one of the big ones. I was doing Jimmy Stewart. I'd kind of forgotten how to do it.
Politics, for example, today, do you think there is not as many colourful voices as opposed to, you know, Hawkey and Gough? He had a stylisation about character about him.
Well, yes. Yeah, well, he had the legal training. Like, I think he was a young barrister, and of course, a very distinctive voice. And then you find out things years later after you study all these people that the reason he did that was, I think, his parents were deaf, hard of hearing. So that's why he's always enunciated. And then when Hawke was the ACTU leader in those days, you'd have these two great voices. There was one of them up there pontificating like this. And suddenly he's offsider in the unions. Well, I don't know about that, Gough, because, you know, these fake lines that were drawn on maps by British explorers 150 years ago, they're not very valid. So it was a golden time, you know.
Yeah.
Was there any impressionist that you saw and thought?
Yeah, there was a guy called Will Jordan used to impersonate Ed Sullivan and make himself look like Ed Sullivan. He was brilliant, and I've been in contact with him by email. He's still alive. I think he's 80, and he still does an occasional gig. It's great. Yeah, it gives you hope.
I do miss John Howard. I had 11 years of him in my act, and I must say I miss those Howard-isms. where he used to get up and say, Mike, oh, no. My fella, look, despite what my critics say about me, I have a deep and abiding love for the Indigenous people of this country. And as you know, love means never having to say you're sorry. I miss that. Funniest moment to me in the whole 11 years he was Prime Minister was when he met Arnold Schwarzenegger after he became Governor of California. There was a photograph of him. John Howard's up to about here or there. He goes into Arnold Schwarzenegger's office and what the hell was that conversation? Oh, it's an enormous pleasure to meet you, Mr. Schwarzenegger. And I just imagine Arnie looking at John Howard going, my God, I don't believe this. This is fantastic. Danny DeVito, I haven't seen him since.
Coming up, we meet the voice behind the moose and the pressures of working with De Niro.
I've got to the point where I think, like in this country, about the only interesting voice left for me to do is Russell Crowe. Have you seen that movie Gladiator, where he did his famous speech, where Joaquin Phoenix said, "Remove your helmet and tell me your name." My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, Commander of the Armies of the North, General of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, South Sydney owner. Part-time poet. Full-time piss-pot and punching bag. And I will have my vengeance. And then the other guy looked at him and said, "Yes, but Marcus, how will you, one lone gladiator, how will you defeat them all?" "It's easy, mate. I'll sing."
Mel Blanc, who does all the Warner Brothers, who did all the Warner Brothers characters.
He died in '89, and then Warner Brothers worldwide were setting up in all of the English-speaking countries like a marketing thing, and they were looking for people who could do his characters just at that time. And somebody had sent the guy who set up here in Sydney a tape of me on Hey Hey It's Saturday, where I do that medley of cartoon characters which starts off with Donald Duck and ends up with the and it's got all of the Bugs Bunny characters in it. And I got a call from these people and said they'd within 24 hours they'd spoken to the head office in Burbank, California, and I'd been officially sanctioned to do Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck and all these voices for this country or for New Zealand or whatever, for any promotions that they wanted, or radio or TV, and a lot of it was because they were setting up Warner Brothers Movie World up on the Gold Coast, you know. And so then when they discovered that I also did stand-up as well as voiceovers, it was like a double thing for them. They could get me to MC functions and do the cartoon voices because it was themed to the Looney Tunes, and it was really about 5 very heavy years of that, you know. So all just from doing one stint on Hey Hey.
You went on to do Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Yeah, that's another weird credit that I again, see, all through my teenage years I'd been writing to these guys just as a fan when I was a young kid, and had letters back from these famous voice artists who are all dead now. A couple of them remembered me, like as they knew they were getting to the retirement age, and started recommending me. And then the first one I had with that interest that I had in Rocky and Bullwinkle, which I always thought was a very hip cartoon. It was like The Simpsons of its day, and very witty and much more adult oriented, you know. The guy who did the voice and wrote all the scripts for that kind of took me under his wing and said, you know, when I go, you'll replace me. And I thought, you never believe that sort of thing, because I only used to go over there for 2 weeks a year just to visit these animation contacts I had. And So cut to a few years after they're dead, and they start to the company starts to revive their characters. And the first one was George of the Jungle, which was a short-run cartoon that they did back in the 60s, late 60s, and Disney was going to make this movie with Brendan Fraser and the lady who was the daughter of Jay Ward was the producer of Rocky and Bullwinkle and George, but his daughter contacted me out of the blue and said, we're going to do a movie with Disney based on a live action George of the Jungle, and we want you to duplicate the narrator voice, because it was all the way through each of these cartoons there was this voice of doom narrator saying, you know, and mighty George, it was sort of like an Orson Welles thing, mighty George is swinging through the African jungle on his way to rescue Ursula, and so they got me to do that voice for this multi-million-dollar movie, and actually that movie was a success, and I was just over there for like 2 weeks, and it was like a limo. I got a limousine to a voiceover job. It was like, and then because that was a success, then they wanted to do something with their Bullwinkle property, and Robert De Niro's company got in on that, because he did a lot of movies, I think, just to make money for his artistic ventures. Tribeca Productions, that's De Niro's company. And he did that in association with Universal, and it turned out he was going to play the villain, fearless leader, the boss of Boris and Natasha, these two spies. And I'm suddenly involved in a movie that De Niro is not only producing but acting in, you know. I had the first 5 pages of this script. I was the narrator, which was William Conrad. And Rocky and Bullwinkle in Frostbite Falls, Minnesota. And then suddenly I was switching from him, Bullwinkle, talking back to the narrator, saying, that's a pretty catchy phrase. Do you want to narrate this movie? No. And it was like 5 pages, and then Robert De Niro comes up to me after this table reading, because I was too scared to approach him, this world's most accomplished actor, and he'd heard me doing a few other zany voices and things, and he comes up and says, you talking like me? You talking like me? So I can go to my grave with that story. He also got the opportunity on that sort of comedy movie to meet everyone, because I was travelling with the movie. Like when they got the guy who did Roger Rabbit's voice, he was the first one to ever travel with a movie the whole time, because the reason being that the character I was doing was going to be done by computer animation later, like 10 months down the track, and rather than have some crew member just reading the lines for the actors to react to, they decided to pay me to travel with the picture and read the lines in character. It gave me the opportunity on a daily basis to work with the people who were doing cameos in the movie, like John Goodman, Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Crystal, and Jonathan Winters and people like that, and it was like, my God, I had no idea when I said yes I'd do the movie that it was also going to be a chance to meet all these great people.
On Rocky and Bullwinkle, you wrote a book.
I'd already started doing that just as a hobby type thing, because the guy who did his name was Bill Scott by sheer coincidence, and he was the voice of Bullwinkle and also the producer and the writer of most of the stuff. He was a very clever old guy, and he once sort of semi-jokingly said, you know more about our studio than we do, or we ever remember. He said, one of these days you've got to put this into a book. And after he died, I thought, I've got all this research material, and I've been, researching old theatrical cartoons for years and years. And I approached a publisher, and they said, because it was hot at the time, they just released them on video cassettes back in those days in the States. They said, yeah, we'll pay you in advance to write a book about it. And it took, like a lot of books, it was sort of a labour of love. I was still working at my normal stuff. And about 8 years down the track, and they managed to do it and tie it in with the opening of the movie. So the book was published on the same day the movie broke in America. And it was like, for about 6 months I became famous for just writing a book in the USA and going on the talk shows talking about this book and being able to do the voices of the characters in the book.
So I was thinking, like, if they bring in reality movies and they start using just average people, pay them no money because they want to be famous, and all the good actors are going to be out of work. So they end up auditioning as department store Santa Clauses. And the auditions are directed by Martin Scorsese. So this little 5-year-old boy comes in, and they bring in Al Pacino, and he's still in the Scarface mode of Tony Montana. And he looks at the little kid and says, "Oh, look at this fucking list. Oh, where are you from? Just
remember what I say to you. Don't you ever buy drugs in the street. You listen to Tony Montana Claus. You never buy drugs in the street, they are full of cheap. You want decent drugs, you come to Santa Claus.
So they get rid of him. And then they really freak the kid out by bringing in Christopher Walken.
Hi! Wow! Before we start enumerating the presents you want to brought, I want to tell you, last year, one of my reindeer got stuck down the chimney. He's still there. Now he's dead. And we think it's your house. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
They get rid of him. The little kid is ready for psychiatric treatment. And the last Santa Claus audition, he comes in, it's Jack Nicholson.
Oh, hello there, little boy. Wrap your arms if you're
Still to come, the funniest joke he never wrote, and Keith lets loose.
Probably the UK has the greatest bunch of character voices left in the world because it's a sort of country, 5 kilometres, it's a new accent. And all the voices over there are so distinctive. You know, like people like David Attenborough.
Tonight, I do have a fascinating, if annoying creature. It is, of course, the naked chef, young Jamie Oliver.
Hello, me old mates. This is Jimmy Oliver here, the naked chef, lovely, jubbly, wicked, there we go, the old mates. Of course, you know, a lot of people criticise me because I lisp when I talk, you know, but of course I can't help the lisp. I've got a lovely recipe tonight. What we've got is a steak sandwich, stewed like and sweet and sour, steamed seafood, corn sauce, sausage souffle, and of course spag balls, steamed sour surprise with pearl and cream. Problem is after I've spat over all the food, no possible cream. So there we go, lovely jubbly.
If you could live in any home, in any television series, which one would you pick?
Maybe Desperate Housewives, it sounds enticing.
What's the voice that you enjoy doing the most?
Probably somebody like Billy Connolly, because there's nobody else you could ever mistake him for.
What's the first job you ever had?
Shoveling cardboard boxes into the furnace at the Big W in Chatswood. And then when I got out of school, I worked in a insurance company, just in a clerk position, and like one of those typical things that's meant to happen, like in the movies, you know, with the standby going on when the star's ill. I met a girl who knew somebody who worked at Hanna-Barbera Cartoons just when the old man William Hanna was setting up out here, and I took my letters in from his voicemen and all that. I got a job in the cartoon business, and that's what got me into doing cartoon voices.
Now, what talent or skill don't you have that you would like to have?
Musical, because that's one thing that I completely missed out on. I can't play any instruments. I'd love to be able to even play piano and accompany myself. And I can't sing as myself, but I can sing as a whole bunch of other people. That's a weird thing, you know. It's probably from the way I study voices that I can sing as Elvis, for instance. You know, we're caught in a trap, but I can't sing as Keith. You know.
And what's the funniest joke you never wrote?
I love Rodney Dangerfield because every joke he wrote was with that attitude of the hangdog character. I never got no respect from anyone, you know. When I was a kid, it was the same thing, you know. My father told me Mickey Mouse died in a cancer experiment.
Do you think comedy has changed much?
It may have changed just in terms of what you would choose to do these days and what's acceptable. But I still think it boils down to funny's funny, you know. Yeah. And I still hear some young guys who've got the ability to write what I call jokes, like one-liner style things, just when you think it might be something that only that generation knew. And the The only thing I do find there's a lot of the guys are kind of funny in a way that you can tell that's the way they are around their mates in the pub. But because I'm a bit of a purist, it sort of doesn't appeal to me to just get up and then do that sort of stuff and call it a professional comedy act, you know what I mean? Yeah, it just seems a bit unstudied, a bit unprofessional, a bit ordinary. And in some ways, in certain venues, it's what passes for comedy these days, but I don't think a lot of thought's gone into it because there's nothing that stands out and surprises you and think, oh yeah, this is exciting, you know. It's like a performer that excites you, you know. Well, I prefer it. I mean, it's some people probably love that more conversational sort of thing, so that's just an opinion, you know. But it still does boil down to, you know, if you don't make them laugh, you're not working. It's not comedy.
The voiceover work you do now is not just character voices.
I've been doing voiceovers anonymously for, it must be 30 years, you know. Done a lot of cartoons in this country, like Blinky Bill and all those series that company made.
You've done the radio series.
How Green Was My Cactus.
How many years has that been going?
20 years, and it still plays on 80 stations across Australia. It's amazing, you know. It's not on in the capital cities, which is a pity, except for Brisbane and Canberra. And it's still written by Doug Edwards after all these years. Very, very clever, and has a great flair for that sort of personality, political send-ups.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Keith. Thanks very much.
Great to catch up with you again. You too, Darren. Yeah. Porky, come in here and wish them farewell.
Oh, you bet I will. Good luck, guys.
But have I got a deal for you? We're up to areas in Forest and we've got to clear the lot. We've got saw logs, poor logs and more logs.
I went to the famous English Brighton Beach. We would call it a quarry. I'm not kidding you, grains of sand on this so-called beach. You get sand in your crack on Brighton Beach, you know about it.
Those Warner Brothers characters came from the old days where the movies had a production code. You weren't allowed to swear for 40 years in the movies. Only in the last 40 years that's all changed. And it would be really odd seeing a Warner Brothers cartoon where that happened. You imagine Yosemite saying, "Whoa, eat that fucking rabbit!"